So we're going to be ranking some NFL quarterbacks here going into the 2025-2026 season. There's a lot on the table with some of these guys, a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of good players, a lot of bad players mixed in here. And I'm not going to say bad because there's no such thing as a bad quarterback. To you guys, there's a bad quarterback as a fan. But if they were bad, they wouldn't be in the league. Let's also remember that. There's a lot of quarterbacks in college. You have over 100 starting quarterbacks and only a handful make it to the league. We have S tier up here. We have the A tier, the B tier, C tier, D tier. D tier is the lowest you can go. And quarterbacks who haven't played yet are going to be listed as unproven. First off, Caleb Williams. Now, this is a trap for me because I think Caleb is a good quarterback. There is a lot of pressure this year to start showing improvement, even though he's only going into his second season. So if I am trying to rank this guy right now, based off last season's performance and what I can gauge of his talent alone, I would probably say Caleb would be around a B tier, like mid to low B. Justin Herbert. Now, Justin Herbert is one of the best pure passers in the game right now, and he's always got his team in the game no matter what. I don't care what his supporting cast is. As a quarterback talent, he is to me a high A. He knows how to throw his guys open. He reads defenses well. And he's always quick to adjust to his audible or to a quick check down if he's got to get out of a situation. Herbert's team still has some growing to do, and they're in a much more competitive division this year. Everybody's a juggernaut. Everybody's fighting for the division, and everybody's fighting for a wild card. Having Herbert's talent, knowing what he's been able to do in his time in the NFL, he needs to be in the A tier. We know what he's capable of. Jameis, I'm going to take my bias out of it because I'm naturally a Buccaneers fan. And I don't want to use my past impressions of him and let that affect this. As a personality, he should be in the S tier alone. And as a leader, he should be in the S tier alone. And he's a good football mind. He's very good at certain things. I think where he struggles the most has always been the problem he had back in Tampa, which is the turnovers. And that just comes from having spotty decisions here and there, or you make the right decision, but you just don't execute the way you were hoping for, and it just leads to a costly turnover, and that happens. Knowing that Winston's an older quarterback now, that also takes him down a bit, so I think I have to put Winston in the D tier, but I'm not going to put him in he's very bad D tier. I'm saying he's a high D tier, because if he's in the right situation, he could easily go into the C tier. But I don't think there's a team right now that would help him elevate to that spot necessarily. Bryce Young's more of a trap. He proved a lot of people wrong last year, especially in the second half of the season. I totally could see a situation where Bryce Young eventually ends up in the A tier. But as of right now, I think, and this is going to be controversial, I'm going to put him in the B tier, and I'm going to put him above Caleb, because I think that just makes more sense to have Bryce Young ahead of Caleb right now. We know he's going into this year with a much more powerful offense, with an offensive-minded head coach. He's having consistency at head coach, which is huge for him, which means he has better development opportunities here. And I think in a division like the NFC South, it's super possible he could be competitive. He could be involved heavily here because of that. So I'm gonna leave him here. I think in the B tier right now is fine, because we could also get that up and down nature. So I think being in that B section is fine for now, because we've seen what he can do at his best. Let's go to Joe Burrow, and let's make this quick. Joe Burrow's in the S tier. We all know that. I think it's kind of obvious. Burrow as a mobile talent is excellent. As a pure thrower, he's excellent. As in terms of clutch, I'm going to even say it, clutch gene, clutch factor, he's got it. Let's say Burrow was on the Bills. I think the Bills would be in a Super Bowl right now. If Joe Burrow was with the Texans, I think they would have been to the Super Bowl by now. I think if he would have been with the Chargers, they would have won a Super Bowl by now. And if he would have been with, let's go with Seattle, back when they had Metcalf and Lockett a couple years ago, when I think Carroll was still coaching, they probably would have won a Super Bowl. Sam Darnold had such a long career of struggles because of his time with the Jets, with the Panthers. He's bounced around quite a bit. His resurgence last year at Minnesota showed what the good side of him can be. But I think coaching played more of a factor than we think. He always had the talent. It was just about having the right staff, and the right staff got him. Now, is Seattle going to be the same way? I can't guarantee that. I don't know if he plays as well this year. Yes, he's been able to shake his past. I think he's still a very good quarterback. Because of his past, and it was only 1 year last year, I'm going to put Darnold safely at a C just because we don't know if he can replicate that. We know the talent's there, but can he replicate it is the question. Let's look at Tua Tagovailoa. This is going to be a rough one because accuracy-wise, Tua is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league since he's been drafted. Unfortunately, the injuries have also taken a toll on him. And Miami, I don't think is going to be a very good team this year. He may not struggle, but the team will. The safe place for Tua is in A tier because he is a very good quarterback. He's proven it time and time again statistically that he is a good quarterback. The problem is just he has some outlier things that keep him on the low end. So he's a low A for me, but he's in the A tier. Lamar Jackson is in the S tier above Joe Burrow. I think that's self-explanatory. You're talking about a two-time MVP, one of the model faces. I think he's just the face of the league at this point. Him and Josh Allen are the face of the league at two quarterbacks, along with Mahomes. And then Burrow would be number 4. This group, those 4 quarterbacks are like the Mount Rushmore of the NFL right now if you were talking about quarterbacks. Nobody tops those 4 dudes. So I'm going to leave him there, and I think he's probably the best quarterback on this list. Although I will get controversial and say there is one guy I would put over him, and that's going to be Josh Allen, who just won the MVP last year. Because there's one element to Allen's game that Lamar doesn't have, and that's the power. Now, I'm not talking throwing power because we saw last year Lamar can throw the ball. He's got plenty of power in his arm. I'm talking running power. Lamar's more elusive. He's more sneaky, make a guy miss, get down the field. That's what Lamar's good at. With Allen, he runs people over, puts his head down, shoulders through. He's a different kind of animal when it comes to being a running quarterback. There is no quarterback I can name right now who would bulldoze people outside of Cam Newton. Josh Allen is probably the number 1 QB on this list right now. Lamar's number 2. And we're going to go to the next quarterback who it's argued in his past he was an S tier, but he's not now. Aaron Rodgers. Final season in the league he's coming up on. I think he's still got some talent there, absolutely. Do I think it's enough to carry him and keep him in the A tier? No. I think he's probably around the Bryce Young area, mainly because I think his age is limiting him. When you watch him in practice, you see the arm is still live, but you can tell it's fading a little bit, and that's the scary thing. Legendary quarterbacks, sometimes they stay too long, and what I mean by that is guys like Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He's in my top 3, probably number 3 on my list or number 2. My issue is his final season he shouldn't have played. He and his brother Eli had a similar problem. They overstayed, I think, and that hurt their team in the long run. Which is funny because they won the Super Bowl in Manning's final year, but there was no real plan afterwards, and that's what's led to the stagnant nature of the Broncos over the last 8-9 seasons before last year with Knicks. So I want to say that Manning, he stayed too long and his arm was dying, and we saw the offense was struggling because of that. But the defense, one of the best defenses of the 21st century, helped them carry over into the Super Bowl and win and beat the Panthers. So that was a huge factor. Drew Brees is another guy. A lot of injuries in the late end of his career. He ended up in his final season, he didn't throw the ball well. You could tell he was struggling, having issues, and it led to eventually an exit in the playoffs, which has led to his retirement. And it's not to say he was a bad quarterback, because he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer this year. It's the fact that Drew Brees might have overstayed a year and probably could have gone a year earlier, if you get what I mean. So those little things. I think Rodgers is kind of in that same boat. He likely would have been the best option to retire this offseason, but I'm not Aaron. That's his call, and I think the arm is fading, and I think right now he's in the B tier. I'm probably going to put him just above Caleb, but not by much. Jordan Love. Some people have him as the best quarterback in the NFC. Some people have him as a top 3. Some even have him in the top 5. If you don't have him in the top 5, you're out of your mind. But he's top 3 in the NFC for sure. Do I think he's the best in the NFC? I'm going to say no. Do I think he's an A tier quarterback? Absolutely. I'm going to put him in the A tier above Tua. I think he's above Tua personally. He's in the A tier, probably around the midsection there. There's a lot of really good AFC quarterbacks, and the NFC, talent-wise, doesn't match up to them. But if there's one guy who could challenge for some spots, it's Love. And he's got some time to do it. It's only been in the league a couple seasons now, so that's why he's sitting right now in the A tier. Justin Fields. Not a great start to his career. Bounced around a little bit. Clearly very talented in terms of mobility. The arm has always been the question for me. He doesn't really throw well. I'm not saying he's a bad thrower. He doesn't get the opportunities necessarily to really show his arm off to the point where I could sit there and really properly grade his arm. Because people will say like, oh, he just is not good. He's bad quarterback. He sucks. I'm like, no, that's not how that works. You got to look at how he was used in each offense. Chicago's offense was not favorable for him. They tried to tailor it for him, but it wasn't favored for him because his O-line struggled so much. He was running more than he was throwing, and he needed to throw more. Now he's with the Jets. They got a better O-line than the last two teams he was with, and hopefully gets more time to throw. What they do need, though, is another receiver because there were a lot of drop passes. And if they get another big-name receiver who's actually very reliable in the hands, I think Fields can make his way to the B tier, but for now, I have him in the C tier behind Sam Darnold. Drake May didn't have a great year last year in his rookie season, but he was a rookie season. What do you expect? I'm not going to rest my hat on last season. I'm going to look into this with optimism, and I'm going to say that currently I think May would be in this zone above Fields, but below Darnold because there's still more to go. This is just as of right now. I've heard great things from camp. I just think right now in this moment, this is where he is because, again, he has not had enough reps yet that I could sit here and say he is in the B, he is in the A. I think C is fine if I'm going off just last year. With expectations I have for him, he should make his way close to the A tier by the end of the season. Next up, we'll look at J.J. McCarthy. Easy call. Unproven. Because we haven't seen him play. Second season quarterback, but season-ending injury last year. Couldn't play. I'm going to say the same thing goes for Tyler Shaw. He's going to go unproven, although I kind of feel like I know where he's going to end up going. And any other guys let's see that are unproven here. Cam Ward, I'm going to put there as well. Jackson Dart's going to go there too. So we got 4 unproven quarterbacks I have listed here among the rookies. Jake Haener, the other Saints quarterback who's definitely not in this competition. He's going to go in D tier behind Winston because I've seen Haener play. He's got some promise, but I never liked his throwing motion. I think it actually hurt his performance as a quarterback more than it actually helped it. Now for Rattler, I saw some of what he did last year. I didn't love it. I'm going to say he's probably behind Winston also, but above Haener. He was definitely better than Haener, that's for sure. But D tier is definitely right. Kyler's a very good quarterback. I don't let anybody fool you. He's a very good quarterback. I'd put him over Bryce. I think he's behind Tua, but the reason why he's so underrated is because Arizona is kind of an overlooked team. You don't hear much from the fan base. You don't hear much from the team in general. But when they're good, you're going to see the highlights and you're going to be paying attention. And when he's on point and he's got all the talent at his disposal, Kyler Murray is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And it's undeniable. Mobility, arm, decision-making, clutch factor, it is all there. Kyler Murray is an A-tier quarterback. Low A, yes, but A tier nonetheless. I'm going to put Trevor Lawrence in the C tier above May because, again, May, going mainly off last year, he's going to be right here. But Trevor Lawrence really hasn't been playing very good if you look at his career numbers. He's on par with Daniel Jones, and that tells you all you need to know. And Daniel Jones hasn't had a very good career. Speaking of which, he is next, and I'm going to put Danny. I want to be nice to Danny. I'm going to put him on the low end of C. He should be right here, actually. Yeah, I'm going to leave him here. You know, I'm not going to be nice. I'm going to be honest. Daniel Jones is high D tier going into C. And the reason why I'm saying that is because he's got a strong arm. He ends up missing his target, making bad decisions, taking sacks, throwing the ball to people, falling while running. Play the clip.
Keeps, gets a block, takes off, and he is gone. Trying to stay upright, and he trips.
Danny needs a lot of growth, and if we're going just off what he's done in his career so far, he's D tier. As for Trevor Lawrence, back to what I said about him, he is in the middle C tier only because the Jaguars have a really good offensive coordinator, and I think he can get the best out of Lawrence, and we've seen the good things he could do because we saw what happened when they made the playoffs with Doug Peterson. Geno Smith. Now, he's a tough one because I would put Geno, if we're talking prime Seattle Geno's in the A. But in Vegas, where I think the talent is a little weaker in terms of receiving element, I think he's just above Rodgers, and I'm going to give it because of the mobility aspect, but I think he's just under Bryce Young, which is crazy to say. Now, he could easily prove me wrong, but as of right now, this is safely where I have him. I think it's perfectly even and normal. Kenny Pickett is going to be above Winston, below Jones, because we just didn't see enough of Kenny, and when we did see him, nothing wowed. I'm going to say he was a very fair weather quarterback. That's what we're going to call him, a fair weather quarterback. He's an inoffensive quarterback. His play style is inoffensive. There's nothing bad about it, but there's nothing spectacular that's going to make you knock your socks off like we see with the Allens, with the Burrows, with the Jacksons, with the Herberts, the Murrays. So I'm going to keep him on the low end with Jones and Winston, I think, is the safe spot. And career numbers are not very favorable. Anthony Richardson. First season as a rookie, he played 4 games. In 4 games, he was 50 of 84, 59.5 completion percentage, 3 touchdowns and a pick. He completed last year 47.7% of his passes in 11 games for 1,800 yards, 8 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Looks like he ran for just about 500 yards for 6 touchdowns. So if you want to go combined numbers, he's at 2,300 yards in 11 games total yardage. I don't know about you, but I don't think that's very good numbers. And now that he just got benched for Daniel Jones, I think Richardson's a better quarterback than him, but I gotta put it in the C tier. I gotta do it. It's part of the joke. It's part of the joke that the Colts went with Jones. Richardson's in the low C tier, just above Danny by like that much. He's got his struggles, but the guy's young. He offers more to the table than I think Jones does at his age. I'm sorry. I'm going with Richardson. Bo Nix showed some great stuff last year. He was excellent. And I have a hard time trying to make an excuse as to why I shouldn't put him why I should put him anything lower than a B. One season, but completed about literally 2/3 of his passes, almost exactly. 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, almost about just under 3,800 yards passing. And he threw 567 passes. It's very impressive. These are very good numbers. Nothing wrong with these. He finished 3rd in the Offensive Rookie of the Year voting. And then rushing, he ran for another 430 yards and 4 touchdowns. Guys, are we kidding? It's over 4,000 scrim yards. That's ridiculous. Over 4,000 total yards with now 33 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Are we kidding here? I think this is a no-brainer. If he replicates this again this season, and I think he will, Bo Nix is going to be in this A tier, but he's going to be below Murray, I think, right now. That's where I have it. But he's fully capable. You guys see Mahomes. I'm going to make this very funny. Mahomes is going to go behind Burrow. I know what you guys are going to say. He's in the S tier. I know he's in the S tier. I get it. He's in the S tier. That's perfectly fine. Mahomes is not a top 3 quarterback right now. And I know it hurts to say. It's like, whoa, what are you saying? This is a Hall of Famer we're talking about. Yeah, if he retires today, he's an absolute Hall of Famer. First ballot, no problem. But I do think I have to take into account he's extremely talented. He's probably the most talented quarterback I've ever watched play the game. I just don't trust this team enough to amplify and support his skills right now. I think he keeps the team in the game most of the time, which is funny because I just said the same stuff about Burrow. The offense doesn't have as much pressure, yet the offense doesn't perform at the same level as they have in the past. That's kind of the point I'm making here. Mahomes can keep a play alive. He can make some miraculous throws, some incredible plays. I think at the end of the day, though, it's like this and this with Burrow and Mahomes. I'm absolutely taking Allen and Jackson over Mahomes. That's no debate right now. Burrow and Mahomes are like this, and I'm going to take Burrow just by that much because I think that his arm talent is more impressive to me than Mahomes is. And that is a super controversial take, but that is what I'm rolling with. I'm taking Burrow over Mahomes. But they're all in the S tier, which means they're all great. Flacco at his age, he's better than people think. He's severely underestimated. I'm going to put him between May and Fields, I think. He's kind of in that tier of Rodgers, but he's like, we know the quarterbacks. His talent, his clutch factor will always be a notch above Flacco's. That's why I have to keep them a tier separate. That's my main reason. But also, Flacco's still very capable, very talented. Just a lot like Rodgers. No mobility in the pocket, so he's going to be a sitting duck. And the Browns O-line's kind of battered right now, so he may have a hard time. That's why I'm going to keep him in the C tier. I'm going to say Dak is definitely A tier. I'm going to put him, in terms of talent, I'm going to put him just below Tua, but above Murray. I think that's a safe place to keep him. So he's like in the top 8. He's like top 10 right now. Don't get me wrong. I like Dak. But there's things about his game recently with the medical stuff. I feel safer putting him in the mid A tier than putting him in the S tier right now. But if he has a crazy year with Dallas, he's going to make it in that S tier like that. It's going to be really fast. I'm going to put Jared Goff in the A tier, and I'm going to put him above Tua, and I'm probably going to put him above Love. Yes, Love is younger, but there's something about Goff's game that's so different with the veteran experience he has, especially dating back to his time with the Rams, that I can't help but go for the guy. His development has been ridiculous in Detroit. This team runs on him. This isn't a team he's good because of his team. No, the team is good because of him. His management style is what they need. He's a very good game manager, and there's not many that you get in these games today. I would trust Jared Goff to run a 2-minute drill down the field to win the game over guys like Dak Prescott. And I think that's kind of why I have him so high in the A tier. Because he knows how to control the clock so that they can secure a win only with a few points. They don't need a lot of points to secure a win, and he's very good at that. CJ Stroud is going in B tier. I'm going to put him above Bryce, but he had a bad year last year, man. He did not have a great year. You look at his numbers, he really struggled. Let's take a look more in depth, right, with CJ Stroud. So CJ Stroud, he's going into his 3rd season now. Had a very good first year, Pro Bowler, amazing. Yeah, 64% completions, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. We get it. That's excellent. QB rating was 101. QBR was 57.5. That's a very good numbers. Last season was his down year. Yeah, they finished one game better, but 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. His touchdown totals went down. His interceptions went up. He played 2 more games. He also threw more and finished with less completions. That's a big deal too. His completion percentage was significantly lower. He didn't even reach 4,000 yards despite the fact that he completed more passes. Now that kind of puts him out of that top 10 range, and I think if based off of just last year's numbers alone, I have to put him in this B tier. Russell Wilson. Now this is another guy I think could easily have a great season. I'm going to put him behind Caleb for now. Not the same player he was 6 years ago. He's been staying healthy, but it's kind of, we don't know what kind of player we're getting here. We don't know if we're going to get vintage Wilson or if we're just going to get the Wilson we got in Denver, where he was struggling in that first season and really was not performing well. So I don't know where we kind of put Russell here. I think putting him in a low B makes sense, kind of playing towards the optimism side, because he did have some good qualities from last year, but I'm keeping him at low B right now. I think he's just above Sam Darnold by that much. Penix is going to go and improve, and I'm going to tell you why. Yeah, he played some games last year, but Penix also was thrown into the fire, was not ready to start right away, and he had to go through a bunch of learning lessons. He wasn't in the headspace yet to have to play. So I'm going to leave him right there. I think him staying in unproven, perfectly fair. Let's go next to Jayden Daniels. I love Jayden Daniels. I think he's a top 10 QB in this league. He's definitely going in the top 2 tiers. Where do I put him right now? So I'm going to put him right behind Jordan Love. I think that's perfectly fair. He needs more time to kind of figure that out. And him and Knicks are in the same boat here. They both had very good years. But I cannot put them in the S tier because it's just one season. Sophomore slumps are real. Look at CJ Stroud. Let's go to Jalen Hurts. Now, I know how people are going to say, Jalen Hurts is a merchant, a runner. He's not a very good thrower. He's not even this guy in his offense. I get that. I know. He's S tier, guys. Stop with the media checkpoints. Stop taking and regurgitating all the info you're getting from people on social media. He is an S tier quarterback, and I'm gonna make this very clear. And Philly fans are probably going, finally, somebody's listening to us. When he got drafted to Philly, I said he was going to be the next starter of the Eagles. Didn't take long for that to come true. Now, he's had some growing pains, that's very true. But if you look at his seasons, he didn't have a Pro Bowl season last year. I get that. He played 15 games. He did that also in 2022, but the team went 14-1. They were on that massive tear just to lose in the Super Bowl. I know. He had a monster year. What if I told you that even though he threw 100 less passes last year, he completed 69% of those passes, and he hit just about 2,900 yards, like yardage wise. If he gets the ball thrown more, it's a different story. And I know what his potential is because we've seen what happens when he throws high volume. Before last season, the last time he finished under 400 attempts in a season was his rookie year, where he got thrown into the game and started 4 games at the late end of the season. So that doesn't count for me. That doesn't matter to me. 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions on that very limited window there. And then we go down to the rushing element, because nobody ever talks about the running, right? The dude ran for 630 yards on 150 attempts for 14 touchdowns. 14. Okay? For perspective, you merge that with the low passing numbers, right? Because I know you guys are going to go nuts about the passing touchdowns. 18 and 14, what do we get? 32. 32 total touchdowns, 5 interceptions in 5 games. Sorry, 15 games. That's unbelievable. That is Rodgers-esque numbers of his prime. You look at his career numbers, I get it. The completion percentage is low, but that's because he's outweighed by having a rough start and then getting better as time went along. Just like the way other QBs develop. They start rough, they get better. He got better. So I give him his credit. I really do give him his credit. He's gotten so much better, now he's gotten a Super Bowl out of it. So, for me, absolutely an S-tier quarterback. He stays right below Mahomes, though, just because we know the difference in talent there. Mahomes has been very good for much longer than Hurts is, and Mahomes isn't out of his prime yet. So I'm going to leave Hurts in the S tier, but at number 5. Baker Mayfield. I'm going to put him in the A tier. I think Baker brings more to the table than Goff does, which is super funny to say, but I mean, listen. This guy is good. Like, we all know this guy is good. There's no doubt about it. He has turned his career around like this. Oh, it's just one season in Tampa. Last season, he did it again, and he had better numbers than the first year he was in Tampa. Baker's a 2-time Pro Bowler. His Pro Bowl years were both with Tampa. You look at his career numbers, right? His best seasons have been in Tampa. He had some good years in Cleveland. Yeah, his rookie year was pretty good. His third season in Cleveland was pretty freaking good. He had some down years after that. I get that. 2023 he shows up in Tampa, right? He shows up 9-8 season. Cool. 64.3 completion percentage. Yeah, that's pretty low. I get it. That matches Jalen Hurts' career numbers. Over 4,000 yards passing for the first time in his career. 28 passing touchdowns, which is the most of his career in a season. And he had 10 interceptions. So yeah, I know it was a little uneven, but he showed he's very good. He was still capable. He got a Pro Bowl nomination out of it and finished 3rd in comeback player of the year voting. Last season, when he had to try to improve or replicate that, 4,500 yards with the same amount of passes, 71.5% completions for 4,500 passing yards on the dot, 41 passing touchdowns, 16 interceptions. I know the 16 sounds a little high, but it's because the Buccaneers play a risky type of offense where they play more go. If we got something, throw it, get it, see if you can get it, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way. He finished just outside the top 10 in MVP voting, just outside the top 10 Offensive Player of the Year voting, and it was a Pro Bowler. So in Tampa so far, he is having a historic career, and nobody's talking about it. And then you go to the rushing side, right? Because you're thinking, oh, but he's not really a dual threat. Brother, he ran for 378 yards last season on 60 attempts. He had 2 less attempts. He had 2 less attempts last season than the season before that. The season before that, 62 runs, 163 yards. This past season, 60 attempts, 378, 3 touchdowns. He's being used differently. He's more comfortable. Things are working. Yes, he's going to be on his 3rd offensive coordinator, but let me tell you, this is the best Buccaneers offense he has had since he's gotten to Tampa. This is the best version of the offense he has received. Now let's talk Matthew Stafford. As a talent, amazing. Career talent. As of right now, the medical's scaring me. I don't know how much time this guy's got left. And I don't know how much longer he can be a top level quarterback like he was last season when he played. I kind of have Stafford in this shaky land. Like, he's in the A tier. I'm going to put him behind Jaden Daniels, but he's in the A tier. And I think it's just safe to leave it there. Yeah, I know we got a big A tier, but how many of these guys can you really put in the B tier right now? I want you to really think about it. How many guys are going in the B tier that you see on this list? Not many, right? Final guy's Brock Purdy. I'm going to put him above CJ. Brock had that magical season a couple years ago, and I'm going to tell you since then, I have not loved his performance. He's kind of gone downwards for me. Last season was statistically his worst season since he's arrived in San Francisco. In terms of ratios and everything, he threw a career-high 12 interceptions, 20 touchdowns only, just under 4,000 yards, completed 66% of his passes. Very good quarterback. Super capable of being much better. He just wasn't there. And he didn't get a Pro Bowl nom, no MVP votes, no Offensive Player of the Year, no Rookie of the Year votes. He got none of that in not ignore Rookie of the Year. He didn't get any Pro Bowl votes, none of that. He didn't get in the Pro Bowl. He didn't get All-Pro. He didn't get MVP votes or OPOY. He just didn't have a great year. And if you look at the running element, he's really not a runner. Although last year he had to be. And he had over 300 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns. So let's combine those numbers together. He had 25 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Not a bad year, but not necessarily the kind of year you want for a guy who's supposed to be continuously improving and being in the A tier. So for right now, I think B tier is fine. I think his season last year is comparable to CJ. So I think that's perfectly fair to have him in the B. And that's it for our tier list ranking. If you guys want me to do any shuffling, I'll gladly do so. If I was to do some shuffling around, right, I would probably move Richardson down to D tier and do some shuffling here. Russell and put him down in the C tier, put him ahead of Darnold. I would take, and this is a tough one, I would take Nix and put him down in B just because of the uncertainty factor about replicating his work. I would probably take Herbert and put him in the S tier. Keep in mind, some of these guys are barely in their zones. So guys like Russell and Caleb are barely in the C tier, barely. Guys like Dak and Bo are barely in the B tier. Guys like Herbert are barely in the S tier. And that's kind of the way it goes. Same thing with Richardson. Richardson's barely in the D tier. Let me know what you guys think. Is this accurate? Do you guys think that this is an accurate description for a tier list? Is this correct?